Good evening. It's been described as the biggest station building programme since the Victorian age. Millions of pounds will be spent on up to 12 new stations across the region, including the 2 proposed HS2 stations. Passenger numbers are up more than 60% over the last decade, and significant growth is expected in the next few years. Our transport correspondent Peter Plisner is outside one of those proposed station sites tonight in Kings Heath. Peter, this sounds like a significant development for commuters in the Midlands.
Well, it certainly is a big programme, the likes of which I've certainly not seen in the nearly 25 years that I've been covering transport in this region. This is a car park in Kings Heath. It's the site of what used to be a station. It closed in 1941, but as you can see over here, there's still a live railway line. And if the plans become reality, the new station will be built here again.
Yes, so this is pretty much where passengers from HS2 will arrive in Birmingham.
West Midlands Mayor Andy Street showing me around what's thought to be the world's oldest railway building at Curzon Street in Birmingham. Today he announced the first tranche of money for an HS2 station here. Transport plans like this have been given added impetus recently by the prospect of the Commonwealth Games.
So the Commonwealth Games is important not because they're going to bring new rail and other transport infrastructure projects, but because we're actually saying which ones have we got to get finished by then. So it's a question of bringing things forward and priorities.
And more capacity is certainly needed. At the moment, during the morning rush hour, around 30% of commuters go by rail, but that's expected to rise to 50% by the year 2023. And with places like New Street now modernised and fit for purpose, more needs to be done elsewhere.
We absolutely need more capacity. We need to put more car parking spaces in at our stations. We need to provide more rolling stock, more space for passengers on the peak trains. We're doing that wherever we put that capacity in, we see it fill up instantly. There's a lot of latent demand for people who would love to switch to rail travel.
And that's where plans for more stations come in. 2 new stations at Kenilworth and Worcestershire Parkway are already under construction. There's the 2 planned HS2 stations and 2 line reopenings in South Birmingham, and Stourbridge will come with 5 further stations. Running trains between Wolverhampton and Walsall will bring 2 more, while there's also plans for a new station serving the West Midlands Safari Park near Kidderminster. Do we need more stations?
I would say so, by the number of people that are trying to get on the trains.
I think the railway network at the moment is actually underinvested in, and I think the more that we can put in place, the much better it will be. It'll get more and more people off the roads.
And that's certainly something Abellio, the new company due to take over West Midlands rail services in December, is committed to.
Definitely, I think there'll be value for money. All of the research we undertook as part of the bid suggested that there would be a positive business case. And once we've managed to overcome any hurdles with Network Rail, then I very much think that we would look forward to operating them.
With significant growth in rail patronage expected over the next decade as roads get busier and more congested, the latest investment plans couldn't have come at a better time.
Well, Peter, this all sounds great in theory, but how realistic is it that these new stations will actually be built and that there'll be extra trains?
Well, I'd say very realistic. Things are very different from the past. We've got a devolved authority, we've got a metro mayor now, and of course we have a new rail operator in place. But it's not just in the Birmingham area where we're going to see 3 new stations on this line. We're also talking about a new line from Stourbridge to Merry Hill, reusing an old railway line that will bring a couple of stations, and also in Shropshire, the Bewdley area, where we're going to see that station for the West Midlands Safari Park, and of course one for the Worcestershire area covering the Cotswolds line, and indeed the line between Bristol and Birmingham. And of course we're going to see new trains as well as part of this new franchise, but the big question is how we're going to fit all these trains onto the network, and stopping trains at station does use up additional capacity. I think a lot of work still to be done on timetabling, but there's a lot of enthusiasm about these new stations, I have to say.
OK, Peter Plisner, thank you for that. A Stoke-on-Trent mother says